What's up, action takers, the community of doers? I hope you're doing fine. Episode 22, week 22, 52 weeks. Here we come. 30 episodes to go. Now, in the absence of that which you are not, that which you are is not. I want to try to break down that and see very, very important takeaways that you're going to get from that. Now, let me say it again. In the absence of that which you are not, that which you are is not. What do I mean by that? Or where am I going with this? First, before I go down into break down this, let me kindly request you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. It's gonna to allow us to continue creating this community that we are building of like-minded individual that believes in personal development as the cornerstone of our lives and what brings the advancement of any society. So, back to it. In the absence of that which you are not, that which you are is not. What I mean is that if I were to take two scenarios, they only exist because they are different from each other. Using an example, you can't understand or you can't comprehend, or you can only comprehend that there is existence of light because darkness exists. So in the absence of darkness, light do not exist. Because if we didn't have nights, if it was daytime year after year, or we didn't have darkness generally, would we say that daytime we have light? No. So light only exists, or the existence of light is confirmed by the existence of darkness. For everything to exist and to be perceived as if it exists, there have to exist a contrary opinion to it. So one confirms the other. So where am I going on with this? In this statement, I want to try and look at it from the perspective of the duality nature of everything that exists in the universe. That for every good thing, there is a bad thing that confirms that good thing which exists. So it allows us to shift the way we approach our life, and it allows us to shift the way we look at obstacles, the way we look at the wins that we have in our lives. Just a rethinking of that conventionality of how you view a good thing or a bad thing. Understanding that there is that duality in nature, that the only reason you exist as a person is because there is another person who exists that is different from you. Because if we all looked the same and we all think the same, how would you know that you exist? How would you know that you're not your friend and your friend is not you? So you only understand that you exist because you're different from your friend. And that's the explanation of now what we are doing to appreciate the duality of what exists. And it allows us also to appreciate, from the perspective of the difference in our individualism, it allows us to appreciate our diversity. That when you see that you have different capabilities, different strengths and weaknesses from another person, you appreciate that so much. Don't compare yourself to them, because you only exist because you are different from them. If you guys were the same, how would you know you exist? How would you know you are not them? And how would they know that they are not you? So appreciate and embrace the diversity that you see amongst your circles. And don't compare yourself to them, because it is in those diversities, it is in those differences that you actually exist. So appreciating the duality that goes hand in hand in every aspect of this life. Now, a couple of other examples to just reinforce of the idea that this duality is so important. The person who emerges the winner cannot exist if the person who loses does not exist. A winner only exists because another person has lost. So it allows you not to look at that situation from a completely different perspective. Because actually, this is actually a kind of a contradicting information, but the loser is actually significant for the winner to exist. Because if all of them performed with the same credentials, then we don't have a winner. But only a winner exists because one person has lost. So appreciate the significance of the loser for him to actually confirm the winner. The same case comes to good and bad. The good can only exist because the bad exists. Why? The only reason that we perceive something to be good is because there is the existence of another contrary opinion or contrary aspect that is termed as bad. The only reason that you can be able to comprehend that happiness exists is because at some point in your life you're actually sad or angry. So if angry and sad do not exist, how does happiness exist? Exactly. Appreciating both the good and the bad. Why? Because the bad confirms the good. Or the bad actually reinforces the aspect of or allows good to exist. How? Because of being contrary to the good. Now, and as just another aspect to look at it is that contrast the contrary. Contrast defines identity. What I've been talking about. That the identity of one thing is confirmed by the contrary opinion, by the contrary option of the identity of another thing. Your own identity as a person is confirmed by a different identity in another person, which I've been able to show. So, what you are not explains who you are. What you are not explains who you are. What is the role of this duality? To what advantage do this duality plays? So it implies that life and existence are built on duality. One aspect of reality is dependent on the opposite to have any meaning. Without the concept of sadness, happiness loses its depth. You only value happiness because at some point you are sad. If all of us had the same amount of money, then there would be a rich person or a person who is poor. But because there is existence of a person with more money than the other, that's why. So the poor allows the rich to exist. Kind of contradicting, but it appreciating that duality. The same case comes to a slave. So one person is a slave and another person is a master. So the master cannot exist if the slave do not allow himself to be enslaved. So that comes to our day-to-day lives. So when some circumstances are happening in your life, you have to ask yourself, how am I allowing things to happen in my life? Because if you are the victim, then you must allow yourself to be the victim. You cannot become a victim until you allow yourself to be a victim, either of a person, or a circumstance or a happening, in whatever case. Now, just 2 lessons that we can draw from that. I hope you appreciating that duality allows you to completely look at life from a different perspective by just appreciating that both the good and the bad has significance. But of course, we have to know how to leverage on how we can actually benefit from the good. But understanding that they have significance allows you not to have the conflict by allowing it to exist, and knowing that its existence should not be denied, rather appreciated, because it confirms the good. Now, what are the lessons? Only 2 of them. Self-discovery through contracts. Self-discovery through contracts. Understanding who you are involves confronting and acknowledging who you are not. This process of comparison and contrast helps you to solidify your identity and purpose. So you only understand, or you only discover your own identity by knowing who you are and also knowing who you are not. Why? Because who you are not confirms who you are. Both of them depends on one another. The other one is growth through opposites. Often, challenges and negative experiences are not obstacles, but necessary elements that allows you to fully realize your potential. They serve as a teacher or mirror, showing you more clearly who you are. So, when you see the obstacles and the challenges that you're going to find on your path, you understand that they exist to confirm there is a contrary opinion of the good side of that which is bad. So, for every bad thing that you see, it is actually confirming the good, or there is a good thing that is contrary to that. So your work is going to be, for every obstacle that you find, for every challenge that you encounter, asking yourself, what is this obstacle or what is this challenge actually confirming? And that's what you work towards. I don't want to over-explain it. Please look at this video even if it's multiple times. I know it's not just an easy concept to get around, but if you just analyze it slowly, I hope you can understand and see how that is going to change how you look at life, and how specifically I can point out so that you understand what you're going to be looking for. Understanding how you face obstacles, challenges, and how you can be able to be resilient. How to come back even in the midst of setbacks, which is very, very important. Why? The true measure of a man is not where he stands during the time of comfort and convenience, but where he stands during the time of uncertainty, and the time of challenge. So it's important to understand, because where we measure your potential is when you're faced with challenge. So the capability of your capacity to be able to perform even in the midst of challenge, that is what brings out who you really are. Thank you very much for sticking around to this point. And always remember that in the absence of that which you are not, that which you are is not. See you on the next one.